Hey guys, this is Flash coming at you with a special weather update video. It's November 11th, 2018, and I just downloaded Loom. So I'm learning how this whole process works. So bear with me, there's going to be a little bit of rust, but even though I'm late to the party, better now than never, I guess. So just want to share with you kind of my check down when I start the morning and I'm trying to gauge what the weather's going to do a given day, even week. So it's great to be able to sort of just copy and pasting links. You could kind of follow my train of thought. So cool. Let's just dive in, shall we? So the first place I like to go to, well, I like to go to the National Weather Service first, just weather.gov. And a lot of you know how to get to this page. You can kind of get a general idea of what's going on, get some of that National Weather Service guidance, and sometimes I'll go to local data and I will be able to, on the sidebar over here, if there's any forecast discussion, I'll go there. Sometimes you'll hear me mention CF6. CF6 is the preliminary monthly climate data. So you could see when you click on the month that you want, they'll give you a 5-year range here. Go back in time a little bit and you can scroll down through the monthly or the daily archives, and let's see, I'm having a hard time navigating this. All right, cool. You can see we're at minus 1.5. That's a degree and a half below normal for the month. Through November 11th, November should average out to 53.5 degrees. That number will go down. We're currently on pace for a below average month in terms of temps, so that's really encouraging because, as you know, if November finishes colder than normal, there's a 60-70%-ish probability that the overall winter ahead will be colder than normal. So from here, you can navigate a number of different ways. There's numerical models if you wanted to check like the GFS, something like, well, actually, yeah, some all kinds. All right, so this is a good place if you want to look at American modeling. You got the NAM, the GFS are the popular ones. HHRR, you'll hear me reference that on the time. HRRR, HRRR, I should say. It's great when you're within 24 hours. I won't get into the weeds with all these different types, but those are the three main American models I look at. All right, so let's go to tropical tidbits. I think I've given you enough on the NOAA site. So we're already at the 12Z GFS here. The 18Z is initiating as we speak. I know last week I kind of teased the potential for snow. The models were actually depicting that as a potential scenario, but looks like the wintry precip this go around is going to be confined to the Texas Panhandle and most of Oklahoma, the Ozarks, foothills of Missouri, and it's going to stay to our northwest, which you'd see that often in a La Nina winter. But yeah, looks like we're going to be all rain. The cold air will move in, but you can see the precip's out of here by then, by the time the cold catches up. So cold chasing rain scenario, for those new to Tennessee, that happens more often than not. More often than not, we get the precip, the cold front moves in, and by the time it's cold enough to snow, all the moisture's moved out of the way. So that's just one of the many consequences of being at our latitude. But it's November 11th. Any snow you get in November is pure bonus. Really, I would say any snow you get around here pre-Christmas is bonus. The peak climo time frame for snow in Middle Tennessee is usually in January and February. All right, so you can see kind of the low that we got a couple of lows this week that are going to be forming near the Gulf. Let me scoot this, try and get down here. All right, there we go. That's better. So that's one of the things I like to do. Oh, it's taking me up for some reason. Let me see if I can click that. Maybe that'll help a little bit. Get rid of that ad. All right. It's better. It's decent anyway. So we got a couple things going on. We've got a low that you see that pops up near Cape Hatteras, far eastern Carolina, and that's what, at 42 hours, but you have to go back and kind of follow kind of where you have closed contours. So let's see, where does one show up? Because a lot of times lows will form near the Gulf and they'll track northeast. and how far inland they are. It's really important for our weather here to gauge precip type and things like that. It's often based on if the low is cutting inland, what side of the mountains it's cutting. Is it going to be on the west side of the Appalachians? Is it going to be on the east side? If it's out to sea, if a low forms in the Gulf and moves over Florida but stays out in the open waters up the East Coast, chances are we're not going to get any precip out of that, or we're just going to get a bunch of dry air rather. If it's cutting too far north, like, it's cutting overhead, or maybe northern Alabama into eastern Tennessee, a lot of times we'll be on the warm side, well, on the cold side, but we're too far close to the warm sector. So we'll remain as rain. So the rain-snow line is often very evasive, I'd say. But let's just continue on, because we get something interesting that happens as that initial low, the midweek Tuesday, Wednesday low, moves off the eastern seaboard, and then you could see some closed contours. We got this area of high pressure over the Panhandle areas that are currently in winter weather advisories, even winter storm warnings, and then that high moves up north and east of us, and we have another low that pops near the Panhandle of Florida, kind of on the other side of the Panhandle from where Hurricane George or Michael struck. And this isn't too bad depending on what angle it cuts. If it cuts north or west-northwest, that's a very different scenario than if it cuts north-northwest. So it's very interesting. It's important to note as you go from frame to frame, which you can see measure every 6 hours or so. It's important to note where the low tracks. We see a little bit of a wraparound snow and wintry precip on the. It's a very interesting setup. I'm not completely buying this look, but I am buying the possibility of wintry precip on the backside. And a couple things. This is kind of getting into some weather 101. Always note where your low is south of you, and always see where the high is placed north of you. Because air around a high will flow clockwise, air flow around a low pressure system could be anti-clockwise. So really, weather is like a game of atmospheric chess. You want to know the dominant airflow that's affecting your location. So if you have a high that's to our northeast here, we're probably not going to get a whole lot of cold air reaching us from that high. If it's, say, to our northwest and it's like over the central Great Plains, that's kind of drifting into the western Great Lakes region, that will give us like a northerly airflow. So if this high was over here, air flat, wraps around it clockwise, you get air that's coming out from the north. We don't have that in this setup, so we're kind of cold, but not cold enough. Like now, again, going the Boot Hill part of Missouri, that southeastern quadrant there, they could see something. I mean, if I'm in the Paducah viewing area, I'm paying close attention to what the Thursday Friday system has. And actually, you see parts of northwest Middle Tennessee get a little bit of blue action up. This is hour 108. Don't put too much stock in anything past 24, 40 hours around here, but within 5 days, usually model consistency tends to improve somewhat on verification stats. We're close enough, once again, to some winter precip bottom line. So that's why I'm not ruling out flakes, and by flakes I just mean snowflakes falling from the sky, even scattered flurries, not just appreciable snow. At this point, we note the possibility of any further precipitation. Doesn't take a whole lot to make things messy around here. We got this low. You don't see an L here, but there's an upper low that could generate some of its. Well, it's okay. It's not a cutoff. It just. But even though it's not a completely cold core cutoff low, it's still embedded in the flow. It could still churn out some cold air on the northwest side, but generally at this point, I fear cold air chasing moisture, so that gets on out of here. So these first two systems of the week, I think these are only two really. Very similar. There's some similarities and there's some subtle differences as well, but by the time we get to the weekend, another cold weekend is in store, and you can see this high here. That's that's where you want to see a high pressure system. If you want snow, you want to see a low popping at the same time that a high is coming down from Canada to the central Great Plains. So this high placement is great. We just don't have anything down here to interact with it. So it's just going to be mostly of a drive. And you see a little bit of a snow streak coming down into Nebraska and Kansas City. And that's going to be very minor if anything transpires. So very cold weekend. It looks like got that high overhead at 174. That's 12. Okay, so that's valid for 18Z. That's about noon on Sunday. Whew. We moderate early next week. You can see evidence of that by how far the rain snow line is. It's up in Canada. So early next week, plenty of mild air, seasonably mild, not going to blow torch. Plenty of rain, plenty of green. We're far out. So really, per the 12Z GFS, I wouldn't say there's a whole lot of confidence that would see anything wintry. Just for kicks, let's see how the 18Z. There's truncation issues with the 18Z, but it's out to 90. The GFS updates 4 times a day. 6C, 12Z, 18Z, 0Z, and then if you want to get the conversion to standard time, you really subtract 6 hours. So 18Z is noon, and 0Z would be 6 p.m. and so forth. Of course, it's initiating before then. So let's see. So similar idea. That's some heavy wet snow, kind of where Missouri, Arkansas, and Tennessee come together. They have a term. I think it's the qual. It's quad. The quad state area. There's a lot of quad state areas around. I'm not disliking where that low is going. You can't see the red L here, but you can kind of get a sense of where it is. It's coming more the western panhandle and kind of moving again up the spine. We'll see. From a climo perspective, it's just not a favorable time to see snow. Although if we were in mid-January, a lot of the screen would be blue, and we would be getting a couple inches out of it. I would say, and we're at 90 hours here, so we're under 100. I just don't see this verifying. I like this look here. You can see those close contours, indicative of heights, and that could definitely spell some snow to the west of us. But let's check this CMC. You don't really get this look for the European. You have to have kind of special access to it. It's painting a similar picture. Let's go back a little bit. And CMC has a cold bias with it as well. Nothing for Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing for Thursday, Friday. Areas to our northwest will get a couple shots, potential shots. We can, from the Euro, which is ECMWF here, you can note, I like to use this just to note trends, temperature trends, and patterns. That is a positive tilt trough. If it was oriented from the northwest to southeast, that'd be negative tilt. But in this case, we see a southwest to northeast orientation. That's a positive tilt. You could see this is we're getting into Thursday, Friday. So there's this. I guess when we're talking about 500 millibars, there is a closed look. So maybe it was safe to say that. Cold core, low weatherman's woe, they say. So yeah, that lines up with what the GFS and CMC was suggesting. But early Thanksgiving week, it could moderate a little bit based on this is valid November 21st. I think we will be seasonably mild for the holidays, but overall we're going to average out colder than normal in the next 10 days. So let me minimize that. That's tropical tidbits. Pivotal I like to use as well. Similar in some ways, you immediately see the screen when you go to Pivotal Weather, and you see where all the advisors are, which I like, the hazards here. WPC, this is great to see how much rain expected next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 days. You could pick your time frame. They give you snow probabilities. I like to look at that. CPC, so that's the Climate Prediction Center. You can see what I mean when I say the next 6 to 10 days. It's a very good chance we're going to be below normal. This is where I usually will base my probabilities when I mention it anyway. 60 to 70. New England looks very cold. You can see the dividing line, and this look is it's going to be similar to what we end up seeing in February, although the orientation will be more from the Great Plains down southeastward. I do think that much of the northern United States outside the extreme northeast will be above average for December. But for southeast, we're going to see a lot of similar graphics throughout. Oh, went back too far. All right. Still on? All right. Now, Pivotal Weather will also give you a chance to look at models just in a different, with a different layout, different setup, and I think the parameters, it's user-friendly in its own right. This is probably more ideal to use in severe weather setups. Where are we at now? We're at sea level pressure, and let's flip that. I don't want that. Meter winds. It's been a while. You can tell. Let's go. First of all, let's do this. Let's click to get the southeastern U.S. You go to continental. You go. I think you want to go to actually national tab. And JK, that's not what you want. Sorry. You go to regional. There you go. Got my steps off here. Come on. Go to regional. Very good. Click the U.S. And we'll click Ohio Valley. I'm sitting right over most of our region. Milton is included. So it gives you a better, more intimate look of our region. And so we want to go to, once again, let's do just the 12 GFS. You can see also has NAM, has WRF, EPS, that's the ensembles of the European. GEFS is the ensembles of the GFS, same thing with the CMC. The ensemble members include multiple members, not just one particular run, but a lot of these different ensembles, you get 50 plus. So it's kind of a composite, whereas, when we look at the GFS or the European, straight up, you get one likely outcome, kind of like a blend, but it's like a representative of the ensembles. So it's one way of looking at it. Trying to speak in layman's terms here. All right, so let me do this. Go back up here, expand. Snowfall. This winter tab, I'm often on it a lot. Are we doing 18? Let's do the run. We want run. Duh. Here's a run. 12Z. Boom. 18Z still initializing. So just for fun. Because most people want to know about the snow. Do this total snowfall 10-to-1 ratio. We can get into the differences in ratios. Each setup is going to be different, 12-to-1, 8-to-1, but 10-to-1 is a good default. So we can go in time. Let's go 24 hours in the future and see where the snow is developing. You could see some returns, mostly over Kansas. Let's go 36. More of a thumping, good, solid, multi-inch event. We call those ankle biters in the weather community. You can see some areas getting up to 4 plus. This time Monday night, or early Thursday morning. Let's go to 48. Let's just see, just for kicks, how close we get to this. And I think it's just going to be, this is going to be like a not a 6-9 special as I once thought. This is going to be a 44 special, cutting up from Tulsa, Jefferson City, Springfield, St. Louis, up to Indianapolis, eclipsing Mount Vernon, assuming this is right, 72, skipping a little, I should have gone to 60, but so not even like Western Kentucky's getting in on much of this. They probably will see some flakes flying, but for us, it just doesn't look, it's not looking good. Hate to say it. 96 hours. Let's see, do we get anything? Now, this is interesting. So this is going to capture the Thursday-Friday system, and you could see, that cold core low set up. Assuming it verifies, that's going to bring cold enough air to look like 0.6 in Memphis when I see it, but I would say like the Dyersburg region, I'd be watching out to see if get Jonesboro. Yeah, I would definitely be looking to see if we get some accumulation up there. All right, 120 just for kicks. Wow. So you get some of this gray into the western half of Middle Tennessee. Nothing too much to get excited about. Technically, in my area, like there's the potential for a dusting, but that would be like best case scenario, which is pretty sad. But if I wanted to snow chase, and I'm not saying St. Louis and what's that other town south of St. Louis that I'm just blanking on right now? I've been there. Why can't I remember you? It's just going to drive me crazy. All right, welcome to Missouri. This is going to drive me crazy. Take starts with a G. Cape Girardeau. There it is. Cape Girardeau. Didn't have to look at it. Didn't even have to. I just had to give myself some insurance there. Cape Girardeau. This makes me, looking at this, I'm like, I'll be tempted. Ooh, first snow chase of the season. Let's go to Cape Girardeau. See some 7 inches there. You put your cursor over. That peak is generally over 6. But really, and I guess I should bring this in for a landing because I've been rambling, I feel like, for most of this. Sometimes it's just nice when you get out in this range. We're at 5 days and beyond here. It's just fun to note trends, like gauging what could happen. This is on the table. A lot of times models will capture the general gist. So we have this snow axis here. The placement is going to likely vary, and the amounts will probably be less than what is being shown, just because we're not in a favorable time for max snow cover, and we're not in the coldest time of year that we need to see these amounts verify. I would say cut these in half if you want to get a modest assessment, modest guess of what it could be. But this is where you just you could change your models here, and then you could export it from models, and you could change the run. CMC would only update twice a day. They have a 0Z and 12Z, so not all have, like the GFS, have 4 different runs. But now there's different parameters that I like to look at that you could see the temperature and wind at different heights. So 500 millibars, it's 18,000 feet. And the higher you get in pressure, the closer you're getting to the surface, because the greatest pressure exists on the ground. It gets, if you're ever flying a plane, this, you get higher up, the pressure goes down. So it's sometimes the weather will speak. You cut it in layers, and you can dissect and get an idea of this model is, it's saying this, but it doesn't really line up with what it's suggesting at, the tide, wind, and temp profiles. Surface and precipitation. This is, for most of you probably will go here because it's the easiest to understand. Get your dew points, you get your humidity. You get a lot of parameters, like on a standard weather station. You can go, you go out in time with those fields as well. So I like that. Upper air moisture. Well, sometimes go upper air dynamics, mainly in severe weather events, because vorticity is a bigger deal. But it also can come into play in winter weather. More spin can generate more energy, and more energy could affect how sharp the cut of a given low, which basically affecting the track. Weaker vorticities mean that the energy is weaker and it kind of has a more zonal track. Get into all aspects as we get in. Really, the best way to learn this is to, like, we have a legit storm thread on the board and we could really go at it, but because we don't have anything really worth tracking right now, it's everything's a bit more general. So that's pivotal weather. So pivotal weather, tropical tidbits, weather.gov, which is NOAA. Those are just some of the areas I look at. Now, if you want to follow me on the American WX forum, you'll find my posts at Flash with the asterisks on both sides of Flash. And you don't have to have an account. You could just be a guest. And Tennessee Valley is what you want to click on. And this is where I go every day. I'll post a couple times a week and share my thoughts. There's different threads you can check out. If there's a storm thread, there's going to be a thread, and you'll know it by the dates. Right now, we're in pure speculation mode. There's a fall speculation, and we're going into winter now, so that's fun. Banter is entertaining. You talk about novel stuff in there. And so that's the state of El Nino. So that's, if you want to post something about the state of, kind of figure out where El Nino's at, or is it going to reach moderate status? Is it going to stay weak? Is it what's verifying, what's not verifying? That's where you want to go. So it's just a fun way to kind of check, that you have professional meteorologists posting, you have weather enthusiasts / weenies like me. It's open for the most amateur of amateurs. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There's a couple others. But I think for just pure length here, I'll sign off now. So hope you enjoyed this walkthrough, my first Loom video ever. There's going to be more Loom content, not just with Flash Weather, but also His Go Friday and Friday Freelance, the other pages that I administer. So this is cool. Thank you for Looming with me. I get Loom and Zoom mixed up sometimes, so I'm trying to do a better job next time. But have a great rest of the holiday weekend. If for those who don't have work tomorrow like me, get Veterans Day off. But if you do, blessings, favor, and grace and abundance for you. Cam out. Oh, sorry. I'll catch you on the fry. There you go.